who formulated the tactics of subversion was a Chinese philosopher by the name of Sun Tzu. 2500 years BC. And he said, after long meditation, that to implement state policy in a warlike manner, it's the most counterproductive, barbaric, and inefficient to fight on a battlefield. The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy, until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy.
إسرائيل ليست عدوا.
مين العدو؟
لا، في حماس.
هل إسرائيل هي العدو الأول لمصر؟ من وجهة نظري أنا؟ لا طبعا.
And that your system, your civilization, and your ambitions look to your enemy as an alternative.
نصوص وأفكار تم تقديسها على مئات السنين وأصبح الخروج عليها صعب قوي لدرجة إنها بتعادي الدنيا كلها.
The basics of subversion is being taught to every student of KGB school in USSR and to officers of military academies. What subversion is? Basically, it consists of 4 periods, time-wise. The first stage of subversion is the process which is called, basically, demoralization. It says for itself what it is. It takes from, say, 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society.
خد لحمة يا وديع اعمل ده.
This is the time sufficient to educate one generation of students or children. One generation, one lifetime span of a person, a human being, which is dedicated to study, to shaping up the outlook, ideology, personality of various areas where public opinion is formulated or shaped. Religion, educational system, social life, administration, law enforcement system, military, of course, and labor and employer relations, economy. Okay? 5 areas. Tactic of subversion, about which I'm talking, is similar to the martial art, the Japanese martial art. If some of you are familiar with that tactic, probably you will remember that if an enemy is bigger and heavier than yourself, it would be very painful to resist his direct strike. If a heavier person wants to strike me in the face, it would be very naive and counterproductive to stop his blow. The Chinese and Japanese judo art tells us what to do. First to avoid the strike, then to grab the fist and continue his movement in the direction where it was before, right? Until the enemy crashes in the wall. There are many different movements within the society. There are obviously, in every society, there are people who are against this society. Conscientious enemies, simply psychotic personalities who are against anything.
Il y a quelque temps, j'ai fait connaissance avec des musulmans éclairés, des laïcs et de religieux. Et je leur avais demandé de faire un groupe de travail. Pour eux, la guerre d'aujourd'hui n'est pas une guerre de chars ni d'avions, c'est une guerre de pensée et d'idéologie. Et essayer de voir qu'est-ce qu'ils peuvent faire à l'intérieur de l'islam.
Right? And finally, there are a small group of agents of a foreign nation, bought, subverted, recruited. Right? The moment all these movements will be directed in one direction, right? This is the time to catch that movement and to continue it until the movement forces the whole society into collapse, into crisis. The moment you bring a country to the point of almost total demoralization, when nothing works anymore, when you are not sure whether it is right or wrong, good and bad, but there's no division between evil and good, when even the leaders of church sometimes say, well, violence for the sake of justice.
اضرب في المليان
ولمن قتلهم وقتلوه.
إننا يجب أن نطهر مدينتنا ومصرنا من هذه الأوباش.
We listen to them and say, yeah, probably it's true. Is it true? No, it is not true. Violence is not justified. The next step is destabilization. Again, this word says for itself what it is. To destabilize all the relations, all the accepted institutions and organizations in a country of your enemy. How you do it? You don't have to send up a battalion of KGB agents to blow up bridges. No. You let them do it themselves. It's radicalization. On the stage of destabilization, we cannot come to compromise even within a family. Radicalization of human relations. No more compromise. Fight, fight, fight.
رغم ان الرب واحد لينا رب وليكوا رب احنا شعب وانتوا شعب.
10, 15, 20 years ago, we would be angry, say, why so much hatred? Today we are not. We say, well, commonplace. Radicalization, militarization sometimes. As I explained on that stage, I took a step a little bit further. Shooting people. An order now also is pushed into the area where previously people settled their differences peacefully and legitimately, cannot solve our problems anymore. The society at large becomes more and more antagonistic between individuals, between groups of individuals and the society at large. The media puts himself in the opposition to the society in general, at large, separate, alienated.
بعض الدول استطاعت تطوير التكنولوجيا دلوقتي انها بدل ما تبعت على بلد صاروخ، لا ممكن توجه عن طريق استخدام الطبيعه انها تبعت عليك نيزك او تبعت عليك شهاب من الشهب والنيازك اللي موجوده في الكواكب.
On that stage, you remember I was talking a couple of hours ago about the sleepers. Sleepers go up. They slept for 15 to 20 years. Many of whom are simply KGB agents become leaders of the process of destabilization.
طنطاوي يعلن عن نيته في أن يخلفه الفريق عبد الفتاح السيسي، وقلت إن الفريق عبد الفتاح السيسي إخوان وينتمي إلى جماعة الإخوان، ودي كانت عملية مدروسة وما قلتهاش لمجرد خبر أو معلومة، إنما كان الهدف منها إن الإخوان يطلعوا الطعن ويوافقوا بالمشير عبد الفتاح السيسي وزير الدفاع.
The stabilization process usually leads directly to the process of crisis. Starts when the legitimate bodies of power, the social structure collapse. It cannot function anymore.
الضباط اللي معاه لبس ميري تلبس ميري. نموت ويحيى الوطن. نموت ويحيى الوطن.
Instead, we have artificial body injected into society, such as non-elected committees.
شعب مصر العظيم، إن القوات المسلحة لم يكن في مقدورها أن تصم آذانها أو تغض بصرها عن حركة ونداء جماهير الشعب المصري.
We have all this artificial body claiming power. If the power is denied to them, they take it by force. They were taking power of judgment. They had the power of execution. They had the power of legislation, and that they had the power of judicial. All of them combined in one person who is half-baked intellectual. Crisis is when society cannot function any more productively. It collapses, obviously. That's the word for crisis. So therefore, the population at large is looking for a savior. The religious groups are expecting a Messiah to come.
كما ابتعث وأرسل من قبل رجلين موسى وهارون خرج السيسي ومحمد إبراهيم.
The workers say, we have family to feed. Let's have a strong government, strong man, strong government. A leader, a savior is needed.
الفريق اول عبد الفتاح السيسي.
دكر
ده احنا محتاجين ذكر وجالنا الذكر والحمد لله.
هو الذكر بالنسبه لنا دلوقتي السيسي.
في ذكر للسيسي؟
شايف ان هو ذكر؟
ذكر مصر ومفيش ذكر تاني الا في مصر هو ده السيسي بس.
And here we are. We have a savior.
لذلك أنا وبكل تواضع أتقدم لكم معلنا اعتزامي الترشح لرئاسة جمهورية مصر العربية.
A savior comes and says, I will lead you. So we have two alternatives here. Civil war and invasion. But the result is the same. The next stage is normalization. Normalization is a very ironic word, of course. At that stage, the self-appointed rulers of the society don't need any revolution anymore. They don't need any radicalism anymore. So this is the reverse from destabilization. Basically, it is stabilizing the country by force. So all these sleepers and activists and social workers and liberals and homosexuals and professors and Marxists and Leninists are being eliminated physically sometimes. They've done their job already. Okay? They are not needed anymore.
انه بعد ما هيخلصوا على النظام اللي موجود ولا الحكم اللي موجود ولا الاسلاميين ولا غيره هيستفردوا بشباب الثورة واحد اعتقال وتعذيب وسجن وقتل وهتشوفوا.
From now on, no more strikes, no more homosexuals, no more women lib, no more kid lib, no more lib, period. Good, solid, democratic, proletarian freedom. Reverse this process. From here, it takes only and always military force. No other force on earth can reverse this process at this point.
ما من ثورة إلا وحسمتها قوة. إذا مش قوتك أنت أيها الشعب، خلاص قوة أمريكا، قوة إسرائيل، قوة الفلول، أي قوة.
It does not take military invasion. The most difficult and at the same time the simplest answer to the subversion is to start it here and even before. By bringing back the society to religion. Something that you cannot touch and eat and put on yourself. But something that rules society and makes it move and preserve it. A Soviet scientist, Shafarevich, who has nothing to do with religion, he is a computer scientist, did a very intensive research on the history of socialist countries. He calls socialist or communist any country with a centralized economy and a pyramidal style of power structure. And he discovered, actually he didn't discover it, he just brought to attention of his readers, that civilizations like Mohenjo-Daro in the river Indus area, like Egypt, like Maya, Incas, like Babylonian culture, collapsed and disappeared from the surface of earth. The moment they lost religion, as simple as that, they disintegrated. Nobody remembers about them anymore. Well, distantly. So, the ideas are moving society and keeping mankind as society of human beings, intelligent, moral agents of God. The facts, the truth, the exact knowledge may not. All the sophisticated technology and computers will not prevent society from disintegrating and eventually dying out. Have you ever met a person who would sacrifice his life, freedom, for the truth like that? This is truth. I never met a person who said, this is truth and I'm ready to shoot me. To defend the truth. Right? But millions sacrifice their life, freedom, comfort, everything for things like God, like Jesus Christ. It's an honor. Some martyrs in the Soviet concentration camp died. And they died in peace, unlike those who shouted, "Long live Stalin," knowing perfectly well that he may not live long. Something which is not material moves society and helps it to survive. And the other way around. The moment we turn into 2 by 2 is 4 and make it a guiding principle of our life, our existence, we die.